Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green are coming to the eShop. Hooray! But in typical Pokemon fashion, they just can't help but fuck it up somehow. And in typical internet fashion, Twitter is being very funny about this. I low-key don't give a fuck, them Pokemon game ports cost $20. I have a job, why should I care? Yeah, they're charging $20 a piece for these 20-year-old Game Boy Advance games. Let's dig into that a little bit and let's see what you get. Certainly for $20 each, they've included some enhancements, right? Like, online. Online would be an excellent feature to have, right? Oh no, it doesn't have online. Well, surely they've found a way to make some enhancements to it, right? Give it a little spit shine, make it worth the cost, am I right? Oh no, it's basically the same games. Well, at the very least, they had to have included, like, all the language options in the same thing, am I right? No, okay, no, they didn't do that either. What the fuck is this? Now, as a dumb American, I don't need those other languages, but you see, as it turns out, many parts of the rest of the world speak more than one language and would benefit from this, but no, $20 a piece for language packs. How about that? I don't know, even the Pokemon Home integration is on thin ice right now. They apparently removed any mention of it from the description of these games. The fate of that is going to be left up to Pokemon Day next week. But man, if they don't even include that, man, I don't know, man. I just don't see much reason to go out and buy these for $20 a piece. Like, I know the obvious answer is always emulation, but in this particular case, I mean, you are absolutely getting a better experience just by emulating it than buying the official games. That's where we run into a little bit of stank, a little bit of stankiness. I can boot up Leaf Green or Fire Red and play them online against friends via emulator. That would genuinely be the one feature that might make me have just the slightest bit of interest in trying to play these on the Switch, because it can be fun to have battles against my friends online or trade Pokemon and all that fun stuff, but no, it's just local wireless. All they've done is remove the Game Boy Link cable functionality and replace it with the wireless feature. That's it. This is very silly, but this is what they do. This is what the Pokemon company does. I mean, they charge what they think they can get away with. It's not really something that's worth getting angry about. But that being said, man, Twitter is again, is a very funny place. Everybody's attacking each other like a bunch of rabid dogs. I don't quite understand attacking each other over everyone's buying preferences. If you want the games, then buy them. If you don't want the games because you think they're overpriced as shit and you could just emulate them, then why even be upset about it? I can understand, maybe trying to save people a few bucks, steering them in a direction that would save them $20 or more for an arguably better experience. I mean, ultimately, you can do whatever you want. Again, they're just charging what they can get away with. These games are gonna sell many copies. This is going to be the easiest bag that the Pokemon Company has ever made. I'm pretty darn sure about that. Recently, I've had a little bit of a hankering myself to go back and revisit some of the Pokemon games from my childhood. Leaf Green is one of the ones that I grew up with. For me, it was like the Game Boy Advance Pokemon games and the DS Pokemon games. That was like the era of Pokemon where I was at the peak of my interest. So I had like Ruby. Ruby was my very first Pokemon game, followed by Leaf Green and Pokemon Pearl and Platinum and Soul Silver. Like that's the sweet spot right there. And I wouldn't necessarily mind playing Leaf Green again, but funny enough, I'm actually kind of a little more interested in playing the DS games. I'd love to take another peek at Soul Silver or Pokemon Platinum. I'm even thinking about dabbling in Omega Ruby. I had that one on the 3DS back in the day, but I never got very far, and I have the ability to do all of that and more now with my funny new little toy. I'll talk about that in another video. It was very funny the way they rolled out this announcement. It felt like a big accident. Suddenly the games popped up on the eShop at like 3 in the morning, and then like an hour or two later, all of Nintendo and Pokemon's socials started popping off about Leaf Green and Fire Red, and they're not going to be available until after Pokemon Day next week, after the presentation, so it definitely feels like it was prematurely revealed. These were probably supposed to be pretty big announcements during the Pokemon Day. Somebody's getting fired. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes. For my money, I think it would have been really cool to see Fire Red and Leaf Green like basically get remakes. I know that's funny to say because these already are remakes. These are remakes of the original Pokemon games, but it would just be neat to see these games get enhanced in some kind of way, shape, or form. I've always really liked the way that Square Enix does their Octopath Traveler games with the sprites and just the nice lighting and visuals and all that kind of stuff. I would love to see something like that for Pokemon. But we are so far beyond a time where there is any hope left for the Pokemon Company to try anymore. I knew we were cooked the minute I saw the Diamond and Pearl remakes. I had been waiting on those for a long time because Diamond and Pearl, like, I mean, that whole Gen 4 is probably maybe my favorite Pokemon generation. It's the one I'm the most nostalgic for, okay? Nostalgia is a very powerful thing. So I was hoping for a little more elbow grease in that, and, well, these were, like, pretty bare minimum remakes. It is what it is, but I knew from that moment forward we were kind of cooked, and I think it had probably been that way for a while. It just took me until that moment to fully come to terms with it. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, what else can you say? Fire Red and Leaf Green are good Pokemon games. If you're gonna spend $20 on them on the Nintendo eShop, you'll still probably have a good time with them. They're fine games, they're good games. I will also just put it out there that emulating is not hard. It's a pretty easy process, and the Pokemon ROMs are passed around a lot. Not too hard to come across. But that's honestly kind of just what makes the $20 price tag feel all the more jarring. You know, for something that's like such an easy commodity to get a hold of, and for them really only offering the bare minimum here, I don't know. I just don't see much reason to dabble in it. But that's just me. I don't care. You do what you want. You do what you want with your money. You do what you want with your time. I'll be playing it my way. This is me doing the title screen thing, you know, where they post a screenshot of the title screen, like, ha, well, look what I can do. And then they don't actually play the game. I don't think I'm gonna play Leaf Green. Not anytime soon, anyway. Well, okay, that might not be entirely true. I do have a hankering for some Pokemon, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not Leaf Green. Like I said, I'm really thinking, you guys tell me, where should I start? Because I'm really tempted to jump into Soul Silver again, been quite some time. But also Platinum is there, and like that's one I wouldn't mind dabbling in again. But then there's Omega Ruby, which is like the remake of my very first Pokemon game. And like I said, man, this nostalgia's got me in a grip. I'm definitely going to be pretty interested to see what Pokemon has lined up for their Pokemon Day presentation next week. I've been hearing some rumblings about the Gen 10 games that might be releasing later this year. And from what I'm hearing, I mean, it does sound like they could be rather ambitious for Pokemon standards, but I won't hold my breath. I mean, I talked about it in this video. Pokemon is not exactly in a position where they need to go above and beyond. They fart out a game and it sells like 20 million copies. So where are you guys at with this? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Is it funny Pokemon? funny Pokemon. If you want some free entertainment, get a bucket of popcorn and go type in Pokemon on Twitter and just scroll for a bit. No matter what side of the fence you sit on, you're gonna be catching strays. It's very funny. Leave your thoughts for me in the comments down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you're new. I don't know if I'll be here to talk about Pokemon again next week, but I mean, maybe I should. Probably should. I have another video between now and then with my funny new device I want to talk about. Anyway, okay, that's enough for me. Bye-bye.